Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Job Breakdown. Today we're taking a look at 14's newest tank, the Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker has my favorite, maybe, offensive kit of all of the tanks. It definitely has my favorite combo setup with continuation. It's a lot of fun to play around with, and I like it quite a bit. Your basic combo is Keen Edge into Brutal Shell, which gives you a shield and HP restoration, and Solid Barrel, which gives you a cartridge and does some decent damage. Your basic combo giving you a heal is really good, but also giving you a shield means that Gunbreaker will always, as long as you're doing your basic combo, have slight healing and slight shielding. It's a great tank for soloing because of that, although I do still think that maybe Warrior is the best solo tank. But party-wide, Gunbreaker is always going to be really good to have as a tank because of that basic healing. As you can tell, it's just always there as you're going through your main combo, which is really solid. You also have a secondary combo, which is your Gnashing Fang into Savage Claw, into Wicked Talon. Not bad at all. Does a good job. Does some decent damage. But you also have Continuation, which we'll get into again in a minute when Gnashing Fang comes on cooldown. You also have your Burst Strike, which uses a cartridge. You have your 2 dots, your Sonic Break, and your Bowshock. Both of those are pretty nasty little dots, and Bowshock, of course, is an AoE dot. And then for AoE, you have Demon Slice into Demon Slaughter into Fated Circle. Fated Circle also costs a cartridge. Get 2 cartridges back with Bloodfest, and we'll use Gnashing Fang, Continuation into Jugular Rip. Then we use Savage Claw, Continuation into Abdomen Tear. Then we use Wicked Talon, Continuation into Eye Gouge. In the middle of all this, you also have Danger Zone, which is now Blasting Zone at level 80. Does some really solid damage at 800 potency. Feels really good to play around with. Another cool thing about Gunbreaker is that, let's say you're about to finish your combo and you need to burn a cartridge real quick. Burst Strike into Solid Barrel, and you still get to keep the cartridge, which is very, very nice. I love that you can interrupt the combo this way, and it feels really good to play around with like that. Your AoE rotation, as we said, pretty basic, but you have Bowshock to be able to give you that dot at the same time with your AoE rotation. That's not bad at all. You have your Gap Closer, Rough Divide, not too bad. Lightning Shot, your ranged attack, not too bad. Then you have your offensive cooldown of No Mercy, lets you do more damage for a really solid amount of time. It's crazy just on how long No Mercy lasts. 20 seconds is insane. And of course, you're going to want to be using your dots during this as well, and be using your cartridges during this. So keeping up Bloodfest and using it around No Mercy is a good idea. But again, as you can see, you also get your cartridges back really quickly. In 2 combos, you have all your cartridges back you can get. So it's not too bad at all. Defensively, I think the Gunbreaker is also really strong. Heart of Stone can be placed on you or a party member and gives a really solid shield. 15% is not bad at all. Aurora can be placed on you or another party member and gives a nice little heal over time, which is crazy that a tank just has a heal over time. It's really good. It makes Gunbreaker really good as both main tank because of its basic combo, giving it the heal and the shield, and having those really quick cooldowns. I mean, again, Heart of Stone, 25-second recast, really, really solid. And a really good off-tank because it can balance out playing around the OT role by giving those bonuses to the main tank. At the same time, you also have Heart of Light, which is party-wide, 10%, not bad at all. You have, of course, your tank stance, Royal Guard. Basic Rampart. Camouflage is specifically for Gunbreaker. Parry rate while reducing damage taken by 10%. Not bad at all. Parry is not something you can really rely on right now in 14, but the damage down by 10% is also really good. And any attack that you are able to parry feels very nice when you do it. Then you have Nebula, which is really good. It's basically just Shadow Wall. Not too bad at all. Gives you that 30% reduction on damage. Of course, then you have the rest of the normal crew for roll actions, reprisal, shirk, arm's length, interject, low blow. And you have Gunbreaker's Invuln, Super Bolide. Super Bolide does have a couple issues to it. It brings you down to 1 and renders you invulnerable, which is nice for a very short amount of time. 8 seconds. Again, you cannot die during that time. However, there is a server tick in between when you activate Super and when it takes effect. If you were attacked during that time, you can just die. And it feels really bad to use Super and die immediately because of it. I've only seen it happen once, but it was still incredibly disappointing when it happened. Overall, I honestly think that Gunbreaker is in a really solid spot. It's one of my favorite tanks just to play around with at this point. I really like what they've done with Gunbreaker. The only real complaint that I have is Super. I think that Super Bolide could be worked in a way that doesn't allow you to die instantly. It's a huge shame. I did, up until I got it to 80, think that Danger Zone was kind of just not great damage-wise. It just didn't feel great to use. You just weaved it in because you had it. Blasting Zone fixes that problem completely. Blasting Zone is so incredibly solid. I think Gunbreaker is the ideal for what a tank should be in 14 right now, the way that Gunbreaker plays. And I know a lot of people don't like the way Gunbreaker plays, and that's fine. That's what the other tanks are for, right? And I still prefer to play Paladin. Paladin is still my tank of choice. But I think that Gunbreaker is maybe the most fun I've had tanking in a long time, because it feels like Gunbreaker really rides that balance of offense and defense at the same time. Dark Knight, I think, still has the better cooldowns when it comes to offensive and defensive, because it bleeds the two together with the Blackest Night. Warrior still feels amazing to pull off a ton of Felcleys with, but I think Warrior is probably my least favorite of the 4 tanks now. For me, it's Paladin, then Gunbreaker, then Dark Knight, then Warrior. But I think that all 4 of them are really solid. They're all in a really good place right now. Damage numbers from Savage that we've seen have shown that they're all roughly within 200 damage of each other right now, which is not bad at all. I think the tank balance is about as good as it's ever going to be, and I'm very excited to see what new toys Gunbreaker gets in the future. I would like to see maybe 1 or 2 more AoE abilities to add to Gunbreaker's arsenal. I think that would be really good, but Gunbreaker, again, sitting in a really good spot, feels really good to play. I know some people don't like the sound effects. I don't mind them so much personally. I do miss the old sound effects, but it is what it is. I just think Gunbreaker, because of continuation specifically too, that second combo feels really good. I do have one other small complaint, and now having thought of it, and I'll show you once Gnashing Fang comes back up. You can mess up your combo for Gnashing Fang, even though you can't drop the combo for Keen Edge, which makes it feel really weird that you can mess up the Gnashing Fang combo. And I'll show you what I mean here. In that, for instance, let's say in the middle of this Keen Edge combo, I want to keep using everything else. Until I use another actual weapon skill, then it doesn't matter. All my abilities don't interrupt it. But because Gnashing Fang is set up as a weapon skill, were I to use Rough Divide is fine, but were I to use anything basically that is another weapon skill, it's going to interrupt it as well. Which is kind of a shame, since you can hold the Keen Edge over. I understand why that is that way, so you can't just mess with all your various different weapon skills, but it's kind of a shame. I think it'd be really nice if you could mix and match those 2 combos as well. But, again, because of continuation, I understand why it's got to be that way, and it does some really good damage with continuation, so I don't really care too much. With all that said, let me know your thoughts on Gunbreaker in the comment section down below. Let me know where you think it ranks among the other tanks, and if you think it was a good addition to the game. I absolutely think it was myself. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. The Gunbreaker has to offer.